We are here to abet creation and to witness to it, to notice each other's beautiful face and complex nature, so that creation need not play to an empty house. As is our custom, if you'd like to come and light a candle, please do so while we sit in stillness listening to the prelude.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leading, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worship, whoever you're leading, cause it's your caravan, our standing, cause it's no 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 caravan.
Please stand in body or spirit for our chalice lighting and spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting today is Congregation Chalice, The Promise and the Practice by Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people, united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark in us a spirit of humility. May it unite in us a radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intention to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move boldly toward our highest ideals. Join me together as we remind ourselves of the affirmation that is a cornerstone of our free faith tradition. The words, should you need them, are in the morning program. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help one another. You may be seated. Christopher Cameron brings us our opening thought, Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism. While the creation of Black Lives UU might seem to be a novel development in the history of both Black and liberal religion, African Americans have engaged with and been key figures in American religious liberalism since the 18th century. Gloucester Dalton, a freed slave, was a founding member of the First Universalist Church in the United States in 1785. Amy Scott, a free Black woman, was likewise a founding member of the First Universalist Society in Philadelphia in 1790. Egbert Ethelred Brown founded a Unitarian congregation in Jamaica, New York, in 1908, and then moved to Harlem, where he assembled the Harlem Unitarian Church in 1920. In 1947, Louis A. McGee founded the Free Religious Fellowship in Chicago, a Unitarian church that's still in existence. Along with these pioneers, Black members of the denomination founded the Black Unitarian Universalist Caucus, or BUUC, in the late 1960s to make the denomination more responsive to the demands of the Black Power movement. While that organization lasted only 6 years, it did provide a model for the contemporary Black Lives UU organization.
Creatures of the earth and sky, come, kindred, lift your voices high. Alleluia, alleluia. Bright burning sun with golden beam, soft shining moon with silver gleam. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Swift rushing wind so wild and strong, white clouds that sail in heaven along. Alleluia, alleluia. Fair rising morn in praise rejoice, high stars of evening find a voice. Alleluia, alleluia. Alleluia, alleluia, alleluia. Embracing earth you day by day, bring forth your blessings on our way. Alleluia, alleluia. All herbs and fruits that richly grow, let them the glory also show. Alleluia, 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 alleluia.
Our first reading this morning is by Reverend Kevin Tarsa. Our worship service this morning is uniquely prophetic. It calls us to who identify as white to listen humbly to the lived reality of Black Universalists. Collectively, we still wrestle with what it means to be a majority white faith whose anti-racist intentions have not always been borne out. We invite you to witness this moment of transparency and vision. We who are Unitarian Universalists often choose to make ourselves uncomfortable in the service of our meaning-making. We recognize this as evidence that we're growing. Today, we invite you to practice being curious and humble, and to allow your discomfort to lead you to new learning. Reverend Viola Abbott gives us thoughts for our morning practices. Let us be thankful for this opportunity for healing, forgiveness, and reconciliation, while knowing that we can never, should never, forget what has brought us to here today. Let us be glad that voice has not only been given to those whose sorrow and pain were their companions in this faith, but that the stories told by those voices have been received with a goal of redemption and understanding. Let us call upon that light which shines in each of us to give us that strength to walk together into the future and do the work that is necessary and which does not end here today. Let us have the vision to lovingly have the conversations we need to have with each other, that we must have with each other in order to grow this faith in radical love and inclusion. Please join me in a moment of silence. In Honor and Praise to Black Rage by Byron Tyler Coles. Deep in the shadow of night, down near the crossroads and cemetery gates, with bitter liquor and cigar smoke wafting, I greet you. Clad in white, upon the floor before shrines, following the names of the ancestors being uttered, I greet you. You are the sacred and righteous rage of my people, echoing throughout time from the lands of our elders, from depths of the ocean. I hear you now. You call out to us in the swirling winds, in the clamoring of lightning, in the clashing of waves, in the flow of rivers, in the rustling of forests, in clouds that move across the heavens, in the drumbeat of the earth. You are present in the cries of Black Lives Matter and no justice, no peace. You shimmer brightly in the flames of buildings crumbling to the ground as they are consumed in flame, in the calls for protests and direct action, in the stirring of pots, the laughter of children, in the tears and prayers of guardians. You are Black Rage, holy and sacred, unbound and unapologetic. You swell in the hips and breasts, in the curved cheekbones and nostrils, the beats of hearts and pulsating thoughts, in exhaustion, in frustration, in numbness, in mobilization, in life. You name yourself as good. Holy and sacred Black Rage. Be ever present in our struggle for liberation, in our work to be to love, to exist. Guide our movements in all their forms as we strive to be good ancestors, ensuring that our descendants might look upon our memory with favor. For you, for them, invite us to live without fear. Dear, holy, and sacred Black rage, give life to this valley of dry bones. Move like fire upon our spirits. Stir within us, now and forevermore.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the sweet, the far-off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It finds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though my joys and comforts die? The Lord my Savior liveth. What though the darkness gathered round? Songs in the night he giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since Christ is Lord of heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? I lift my eyes, the clouds grow thin. I see the blue above it, and day by day this pathway smooths. Since first I learned to love it, the peace of Christ makes fresh my heart, a fountain ever springing. All things are mine since I am His. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing?
This is a hard topic. None of us thinks of ourselves as racists or sexists or any of the plethora of evilists. So why do we need to hear about this hard stuff in February? We've been doing fine using Black History Month to remind ourselves of all the awful things people used to do that some people still do. Can't we admire some Black superstars listen to a couple of Martin Luther King Jr. sermons, and call it good. Those of us here all know we have benefited from white privilege. We didn't seek it. We never strove to impede people of color, but it is imbued in the very fabric of our society. So we need to hear the hard things because they need to say them. They need to speak their truths. They need for us to hear it. They need us to bear witness to their pain and their power. And beyond that,
Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, or BLUU for short, is an inclusive spiritual community for Black people. We are unapologetically Black, unapologetically spiritual, and unapologetically liberated. Unitarian Universalism invites us to honor many spiritual lineages, traditions, and practices, while grounding in our shared commitment to seek justice and curiosity in this life. While BLUU is a Unitarian Universalist community, we invite Black folks who aren't Unitarian Universalists to be part of our BLUU spaces as well. BLUU started in 2015 when a small group of Black Unitarian Universalists met at the Movement for Black Lives convening in Cleveland, Ohio. Since then, we've created a thriving community where people can worship together, learn more about justice and organizing, and enjoy getting to know other Black folks who care about the spiritual call to collective liberation. We center queer and trans people in our staff leadership and in our programming. We honor our elders and appreciate the wisdom of our youth. We have meaningful gatherings virtually and in person. During our worship spaces, we often say, "Welcome home." That's because we mean it. We're BLUU. Nice to meet you.
The title of this piece is Darkest Truth. Confession. Sometimes I watch my daughter ball her hands into little brown fists, and I reach out and slap them open. This reflexive action, quicker and less painful than explaining that in our society, her fist symbolizes a danger she can't even conceive of, simply because of its color. The slap I give is lighter than the dark truth that despite her progressive midtown upbringing, magnet school education, and diverse friend pool, her physicality is always at its blackest when she is displaying unpleasant emotions in public. And so, put simply, she can't. That part of her selfhood must always be expressed, sequestered in the privacy of home, where her anger, sorrow, rage, or humiliation won't frighten anyone. The dark truth of being a Black mother of a Black baby in America is that I must teach my child not only how to read, but also how not to be misread, how to speak softly, tread lightly, smile reassuringly, unfurrow brows and open hands, how to not get suspended from school, how to not get restrained by security guards or accidentally shot by police, how the caustic cocktail of being both angry and Black could at any moment cost her her life. This is a hard lesson that I must start early, and it is no gentle task. Confession. Sometimes I watch my white friends' children with something like hollow envy. Watch their cream-colored fingers curl into fists no one finds aggressive or threatening. Hear their frustrated screams echo through grocery store or shopping mall, met only by sympathetic concern or annoyed passing glances. And I think in awe, there is something my child cannot do. For every Black mother curling her lips to mumble, "I wouldn't let my child act like that," there is a tiny, still voice, like God's, whispering, "Because you can't." See, the world my daughter will inherit leaves no space in the supermarket aisles for her to flail out frustrations, not without security concerns or filed reports. If she must feel anything but happiness in the watchful public eye, she must do so with a restraint no child her age should even know, as a matter of her own safety and her entire race's reputation. And so it is that decades after scholarly research revealed that corporal punishment is detrimental to child development, I find myself swatting in a blur of reflexive fear, not because I hold fast to some biblical righteousness of spare the rod, spoil the child, but because I smell tear gas and gun smoke in the undercurrent of her every misbehavior, and I am so afraid. I confess, I don't know how to tell her this. How do I explain to her that she must grow wary of her own body, its movements, posture, and volume just because God colored her skin a deeper shade of holy? That she must become a skilled acrobat to survive the flame-lit tightrope between her authentic self and the brutal archetype of what she represents in a country still playing hide and seek with its own inherent racism. How do I tell her she really can be anything she wants to be? But there's this one thing she will always have to be: Black, and everything that means. How do I say that sometimes I'm not the kind of mother I want to be because I can't lie to her about freedom she doesn't have? And even though she calls friends may be peering at her through an infrared scope of preconception, ready to blast her full of prejudice and fear at any moment, how do I explain that in the names of Dr. Ursula Ore, Marilyn Levias, Marlene Pinnock, Black women beaten by police just for jaywalking, I must discipline her stomping down to a tiptoe, neutralize the muscles in her face to blank automated smiles that reduce her chances of being misunderstood, and in the name of this darkest truth, I must hide inside my heavy-handed corrections of her behavior this sorrowful apology for bringing her into a world where she cannot be simultaneously herself and safe.
Hello, I am Reverend Michael O'Neill Slack, the Community Minister for Worship and Spiritual Care for Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism. You know, BLUU is a very special place. Both the organization and the spiritual community that came alive as a result of it were born out of a deep desire and commitment to offer spaces for hope, healing, and possibility for Black UUs and Black people all across the diaspora who share our values. We hear all the time how significant BLUU has been to Black people's sense of safety within and commitment to Unitarian Universalism. From culturally rich and spiritually uplifting worship and pastoral care, to community conversations, political education, and book studies that center Black life, the physical, spiritual, and intellectual spaces we cultivate are essential to our lives as UUs. I know I speak for others when I say that BLUU has held me in profound ways in my Unitarian Universalism. And without this incredible community that I'm a part of and ministry to which I serve, I wouldn't be here. And so we're excited to keep it going. Our housing cooperative initiative in North Minneapolis will be a model for generations to come about how to use our resources by our faith to provide affordable housing. Black UUs have been asking us for such a long time about developing Black UU spiritual communities, and BLUU Havens already have been, and BLUU Harbors will soon be a robust and innovative response. And so, on behalf of our Black UU ancestors, the organizing collective board of directors and staff, advisory team and council of elders, Team Sankofa, our organizing team, our children and youth and their families, and every single person who calls BLUU home, I want to say thank you. Thank you for these gifts that will continue to grow us in our work. Thank you so very much for your support, partnership, and commitment to living our shared values. Our hope and prayer is that this outpouring of love and support will continue to help us live more fully into BLUU's vision statement that reminds us all of this. BLUU harnesses love's power to combat oppression and foster healing as a spiritual and political imperative. We know the power of love to be life-changing, inclusive, relational, uncomfortable, unconditional, and without end. Thanks again.
For our offering today is reading number 674 by Brandick L. Lovely. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. The bowl awaits you, or you may donate online.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time, daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love, lovers of life. We are the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace. We are the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's ways. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time, daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life. We are the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace. We are the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We We are one. 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 We are one.
You may be persecuted, but you're not forsaken. You may be cast down, but you are not out. You may be troubled on every side. You may be lonely, but you are not alone. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, that you are the very workmanship of all that is good and perfect, and that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you shall be condemned. And that may God give you enough foolishness to believe that you can change things others say can't be changed. Amen and Ashe.
I invite you to stand in body or spirit for the benediction and extinguishing of the chalice. Our benediction words this morning come from reading 684 by Duke T. Gray. The blessing of truth be upon us, the power of love direct us and sustain us, and may the peace of this community preserve our going out and coming in from this time forth until we meet again. Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. The words are in the morning program. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace to be peace.